Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now I'm excited to bring this one to you here. Of course, we're looking at HBAR, Hedera Hashgraph. It's actually looking like it's going to do some very awesome movements here in the near future. So we'll take a closer look at that, of course. I just took a quick peek before I started this recording, and I do want to thank you so much for, again, joining me here. If you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. I always recommend you do your own research and make sure that you learn as much as you can from as many people as possible. Even though I'm very successful in my trading style, it doesn't work for everyone. So develop your own trading style, but learn as much as you can from obviously as many traders as possible. That's how I got where I'm at today, right? The last 15 years, I've literally been learning by osmosis. Well, practice through application too, don't get me wrong. I've made a lot of mistakes in my day, but I've kind of ironed out the kinks and things are much better now. So in that sense, feel free to, join my Telegram community. I have a really cool group there where you can just kind of openly learn as much as you can. Furthermore, I have a little bit more of a specific, more targeted, group as well. It's my Patreon account. Check that out as well. And what that does is that just basically allows for you to have signals that I send from myself. Basically, they're trades that I'm taking myself that I share with my community. Okay, so reference that in your own time, but it's really awesome. I actually have trading bots too. It's set up so you just one-click follow, and you just kind of leave it on autopilot, right? You don't have to try to jump in your exchange, wait for that code to be sent to your phone that sometimes never comes through. Anyways, it's just a cool experience, and really excited to be able to bring that to my community here, and it's growing really quick. So obviously, again, check that out in your own time. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and jump into the charts? Let's check out HBAR. Let's get to it. All right, folks, let's go and take a look here at HBAR. And just before we do, we take a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, get a quick baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on. So if you're new to the channel, as per usual, I always look at those two just to get a quick, baseline essentially to see what we're going up against. Okay. Now, Bitcoin, first of all, just before we jump in here, I'm sorry, I use TradingView.com desktop application. I like to mention that because I have a lot of questions pretty much every video that I make asking what I use. So link in the description below if you'd like to try out a free month, see if you like it or not. I recommend a paid version just because you get more than 2 indicators present at any given time. And if you've become familiar with my videos, you'll notice that I have a tendency of using 2 indicators on every time frame, 2 separate ones essentially. We'll go through that here today. All right, so first things first, let's take a quick look at the 1-day chart. I usually focus on the 4-hour chart because it gives us a little bit more data, but the 1-day chart, we can kind of tell here that we obviously broke well above 46,800 yesterday. Yesterday was a very strong day, and in turn, that basically means that 46.8 is now a support level. So if the price does retrace back down, we should expect likely a bounce off of 46,800, but there's also a chance that it'll probably just continue to increase over the weekend to break 48,800 as well. So we're in this little $2,000 channel for the moment where the price is kind of consolidating. It's pumping a little bit, but just mostly going sideways. And that's very standard for a price increase this high. And that came as a likelihood from the great news that we had yesterday where the government did not shut down and they are not planning to ban cryptocurrency in the United States. That's a big deal. So that's kind of why that increased so heavily. But we're just looking at this consolidation phase. We might see a slight increase over the rest of the weekend because the whales are essentially taking it easy. They took all their profits, and on Monday, Tuesday, they'll likely liquidate everything. We never truly know, but in a bull market, that's what tends to happen. If the price goes up over the weekend, Monday, Tuesday, it comes back down. We'll see. I hope it just continues to progress upwards, but generally speaking, that's where we're at. And just to quickly note here on the 4-hour chart, we are up above both moving averages. The 50 worked as a support level recently, and the 200 essentially will be a major support as well. So that's a great thing. If the price does end up coming down closer to 46,800, I would likely take a long position at that point, just based on the simple fact that we have that 200-day simple moving average as a nice little buffer, only about $600 lower at this point. Okay, so all good things there. Now moving on to Ethereum. Ethereum's actually taken off right now, and this is really good to see. This is pretty standard for Ethereum in a lot of ways. Once Bitcoin finally stabilizes, Ethereum starts doing its own thing. Obviously, it's still very reliant on Bitcoin, but it's coming back, right? So we got a strong support level here, about 3,200, and let's see here. Let's go ahead and mark this here as well. We've got a resistance at about 3630. That was obviously just where it got stopped out about 4 days in a row. Previously, sorry, 4 hours, 4-hour time frame, so roughly just say 1 day, it had almost a full day of essentially rejection. So just keep in mind that's kind of where we're at. But right now, it's basically testing and trying to break through the actual 200-day simple moving average. And we are probably going to break and stay above because we only got about 20 minutes left in this 4-hour cycle here, this 4-hour candlestick. So it's probably pretty safe to say the 200 is broken and it's going to be a support level moving forward. Moving on to HBAR, let's take a look here at the big picture first, as we always do. You can only make good informed decisions if you know everything that's going on. We can see right now it's getting rejected by a previous resistance here. So let's go ahead and mark that there. We got 41 cents. Kind of getting stunted out right there. And as you can see, I didn't just pull that out of a hat. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in the recent past. That's when Bitcoin was doing very well, by the way. Mind you, Bitcoin was doing very good back in April and May. And now that Bitcoin's kind of back up. I mean, think about this though. Here's the cool thing. And this is what I like to try to draw perspective here. See, first of all, HBAR is progressive. It's going to probably just continue to increase over time. It's a really good HODL or long-term swing trade option, right? That's why I opened a swing trade with my trading community, my patrons. But I can tell you that just generally speaking, when Bitcoin was between 40 and 64,000 back in just say April to May range, HBAR kept testing 41 cents. It was in this average true range of somewhere between 25 and 41. Get this, Bitcoin is sub 50,000 right now, and it's already trying to break the previous all-time high of 41 cents, right? Obviously, we got the more recent all-time high. I'm not referring to that. That jumped up and came back down. I think we will test that again here soon. In fact, we're going to mark that as well. But I just wanted to note that there is a correlation here. You want to look at the big picture at all times when you're making an investment, because history has a tendency of repeating itself. But what I'm getting at is that it's a lot more potent now than it was before, if you think about it. Because again, Bitcoin's at 50,000, and the price is right where it was at when Bitcoin was at 64,000. As far as HBAR's progression, right? Where HBAR is at right now. So just something to note. Also bear in mind too, the price bounced off the 50-day moving average, and that essentially is continuing to drive the price up. Furthermore, we've got RSI back over 50, but under 70. That's great. Basically just going to stay in this channel here. And if you're new to RSI, essentially, it's not just used as like a strength index. It's also useful as a support and resistance level, like a secondary support and resistance. So what's cool is the price is back over 50, and 50 is essentially a major support level in a lot of ways, whereas 70 can also be a resistance. So that's a very good sign here. Furthermore, we've got a MACD convergence here just about to hit, and that's a very awesome thing. What's cool about that is that's coming right up to a resistance level, and there's a possibility of a short squeeze. So I think this is a very, very good signal here. In fact, I'm probably going to send out an updated signal to my community members, because I think that HBAR is probably going to try to progress upwards back up to about 50 cents and then higher. Granted, we do already have a swing trade position open, but I want to go ahead and send another update to make sure that we understand that. So I'll do that here today. All right, let's move on to the 4-hour chart. See what's going on. So price is up over the 200 and the 50. Great news. Obviously, we need to see that on the 4-hour chart. That's very helpful. RSI is just barely up over 70, which is perfect. We like to see that. So what we might see happen here is the next 12 to 24 hours, see a little bit of sideways action, and then another push to try to break that resistance level. And what I'm expecting it to happen this weekend, just based on the simple fact that we had a really strong Friday going into the weekend. We don't have those very often. When you do have a strong Friday leading into the weekend, a lot of times that the altcoins will tend to take off when Bitcoin goes sideways, especially the large market capitalization coins. And that's what we're seeing here today. So this is really good stuff here. I like this. See here, we got a MACD convergence on the 29th at 1300. Let's go ahead and mark that as well. So I got a MACD convergence right there. All right, cool. Let's take a look at the 1 hour and quickly see where the Ishimoku cloud is at. Cool. Yeah. Shortly after, we had a 4-hour MACD convergence. The price broke above the cloud and is continuing upwards. So again, if you had just kind of honored the common rule of taking entry when the price is above the Ishimoku cloud, you would have been up about 26% from this time yesterday. Okay. So, never underestimate that, especially when a coin is it keeps testing a support level. You see this kind of tentative support level here, right at about 30 cents. When it keeps bouncing off that and then the price breaks above the cloud, that's almost always a win-win, especially when you get a MACD convergence on the 4-hour chart. So I feel like HBAR is going to continue. we'll see a continuation. It may not ramp up because it does need to consolidate a little bit here, just based on the fact that we've had a significant increase. Yeah. We need to see some sideways action because as high as it goes up, for as high as it goes up, it needs to go over as well, right? At least for a healthy continuation on a bull run. So if this can continue to kind of go sideways, maybe just say it breaks above that resistance, holds as a support, then it'll likely leg up again soon. So I feel like this is going to be, we're going to go from 40 to 50 cents probably in the relative near future. I would say in the next week or two, we will definitely see 50 cents getting tested and hopefully broken, because that is the all-time high on the one-day chart. Furthermore, why don't we go ahead and remove these guys here, and then we'll just take a quick look at TD sequential, see what's going on. As we can see, we got a reset here, sideways up to a 1, and we're at 9. Yeah, so obviously you can see that we are overextended, right? We're at a 9 plus. We're basically 2 or 3 hours into overtime above where the price should have went sideways or retraced. I like the fact that it's here now, based on the simple fact that that's a resistance level and it's holding there. But if it doesn't hold and it kind of comes below, we might see a slight retracement. But it would be normal and expected based on the simple fact that it's increased so much in a short amount of time, right? You see what happened here, where the price comes up and then it kind of has to dip. We might see the same thing happen again, where it comes up and it'll maybe dip and then it'll go ahead and test the resistance level there. Hopefully it just stays where it's at and then it just stays above. So if it doesn't break below 40 cents, we'll be in really good shape. Just kind of, or sorry, 41 cents. We'll just have it go sideways, hold above support, and then 4, 8, 12 hours later, we should see some type of continuation to the upside. But I would like to see, honestly, a full 24 hours worth of consolidation in order for this to be in a better shape, so to speak. All right. So just keep that in mind. That's just something to note. Big picture. You can always make your own judgments, but I can tell you HBAR is looking pretty good right now. Let's quickly take a peek at EMA and VWAP and kind of see what's going on. Really no surprise here. I mean, this is kind of redundant, but when the price is above VWAP, which is the volume weighted average price, that's this blue line here, that essentially tells us that it's considered a support level. Now, it being above support makes perfect sense. That's going to help us because it's going to continue to push the price action up to keep that consolidation going sideways. Furthermore, we've got EMA here as well. That's exponential moving average, the EMA 15. That basically just helps us understand when the bulls are in control. And as you can see, excuse me, when the price comes up and it comes back down, it keeps testing the EMA line. That's showing us the bulls are still in control and there's a continuation there. Once we lose EMA and it starts kind of trending between EMA and VWAP, and then it loses VWAP, that basically tells us we're in a state of consolidation and or a retracement. But for right now, it's still continuing. But again, it's a little bit on the extended side right now where that standard deviation is almost too great. You see how close that is, how far out it went. I mean, that is probably a good 10 to 15%. No, not right there, here. This is probably about 10 to 15. Yeah, anytime you see a percent closer to 10, when it comes to the deviation between the volume weighted average price and the current price action, it'll likely come back down. Okay, this was only 9% and it started to retrace and go sideways. So that's actually good. That's very healthy. It just means that it's not outside of the norm. So it's not actually, even though this is pumping very well, it's not going too extreme in the sense where we should expect a major retracement. So that's actually very good. This tells us a lot more here that I think HBAR is ready to just keep on continuing on throughout the weekend. I think it's a very good chance. So my thoughts here for HBAR is that it will continue to 50 cents and it's going to test its previous all-time high. Again, on the one-day chart, we saw that this closed on the one-day chart at 50 cents, or 50.5. So we're going to probably see that happen in the near future. I would say a week or two, maybe even this weekend. It's hard to say specifically, but I'd recommend considering taking a position here, maybe setting a stop loss at the next major support right around 38 cents here, where you can kind of see that it had a major, let's go ahead and add that here. Because that way, if the price does come back down and retrace, it'll likely bounce off 38 cents. But for me, honestly, because I get this question a lot lately too, like, hey, should I set a stop loss on a swing trade? Well, there's different schools of thought there, right? With Bitcoin being in a pretty significant bull run right now, and we're expecting October to be probably a 50% increase alone this month. I think that it's pretty safe to say you don't want to have a stop loss in place, because when coins like this pump, they have a tendency of, retracing as well. And sometimes those retracements can be more extreme than you would like to, handle, and then you get stopped out. So by all means, always set a stop loss, get in the habit of doing that. But cryptocurrency, with these 10 to 15% increases or decreases from Bitcoin, and these coins being reliant on Bitcoin, there's a good chance that you could get stopped out just because a whale decided to take their profits and screw everyone else over, right? That's pretty much the bottom line of how it works for the most part. It's not people like you and I exiting the market, that's for darn sure. We might get stopped out, yes, but they're the ones controlling it, right? So with that being said, just be careful and cautious with your stop losses. A lot of my swing trades I have just as open positions, and I don't have much in the way of stop losses because I have my profit targets in place, and you got to be patient in order to get where you need to go, at least with swing trades. This is a day trade, much different story, okay? Always set a stop loss on a swing trade or a short-term swing trade or a day trade. Anything that's longer than just say a week, then you may want to consider no stop loss, just based on the simple fact that things move quickly. Also note too, you always want to look at the last couple weeks of trading data to understand, the likelihood of how sharp it could increase or decrease. And maybe use your stop loss based on that sentiment alone. Okay, because when I set a stop loss, I don't look at just today's data. You look at the more recent, I would say 2 to 4 weeks to understand what it's done in the recent past and what it could possibly do moving forward. Has it hit its ceiling? Has it hit its supports? I mean, great thing about HBAR here is it's defined a pretty strong support level at about 30 cents, right? So if you're going to set a stop loss, right, set it right around 28 cents, somewhere in there. Okay, that way you're a little bit more safe, a little more conservative. It's not super tight, so you don't get stopped out when a price will decrease inevitably, because every single trade, every single coin, anything that you're going to be trading with, it's never a straight line, right? It's always a wave pattern, always up and down. But regardless, I hope you understand what I'm referring to there. Just be careful, be smart, and obviously, if you're one of my patrons here, I will send out a quick update here regarding this trade here, because I think it's important. Probably consider jumping in, because HBAR has a tendency of doing very, very well, especially on the weekends. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that here in just a moment, but thank you so much for your time. One last thing too as well, if you are, again, new to the channel, consider joining my Patreon account, because I actually provide swing trades, day trades, everything you need to be successful. I provide you with all of my trades here. And I have currently around an 84% success rate in the last, 3 months since we started Crypto Cash Premium. So check that out. I actually have a bot system too, which is cool. You can just do a one-click follow and follow right along with all of my trades. It's really been awesome. And we also have a private chat group too. You can learn a lot there. So anyways, check that out in your own time. Really appreciate it nonetheless. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.